Welcome to another Knife Guy channel. I have some knives on the table and they represent my core collection of pocket knives. Then we'll go into these knives and talk about why I have them in my collection, especially in this time of crisis, this quarantine era. We've all had a lot of time to sort of internalize and think about things concerning the knife hobby and what I pursue and spend my money on. So let's get into the knives I have in my core collection. First, we're going to start with some of the economical options, the budget stuff. Let's get one of my favorite of all brands out here, talking about Cold Steel, of course. I have three models in mind. These two are actually, we're just going to talk about these two for now because they are, in my opinion, some of the best budget knives you can get at the moment. Let's go over these two first. Let's go over the Voyager. Voyager is a very large knife, actually. Let's do a size comparison here. We got a 4-inch blade, big old handle, and this is the Code 4. The Cold Steel Voyager has been as a model that they've had in their lineup for a very, very long time. I don't know exactly how long, but perhaps since like the early 90s. I'm guessing that Cold Steel had the Voyager line in their catalog, and it's always been sort of the go-to knife for just a workhorse. And I think for me, at around $50, this is still unbeatable in Cold Steel's lineup for a general workhorse. So it is also my first knife. My wife got me actually the XL size of this, which I have since tipped and abused and used and loved and resharpened. But now I got this to represent sort of the first knife that I ever got in my collection and what sort of really locked me into the hobby. Getting a quality knife out of box for the first time really sinks in how much you're actually missing by just carrying a cheap POS, if I'm being frank. And then next we have the Code 4. Code 4 was sort of the next knife that I got as I started researching knives. And what really got me about the Code 4 when I got it in hand was the slimness and the ease of carry. This is what sort of got me into the minimalist sort of design philosophy and the slim sort of builds. And also, this is when I started to appreciate action in a pocket knife. And we're talking about a Cold Steel with a good action. I think the Code 4 is one of the very, very best. So these two, they still get pocket time. I still carry this. These are two of my most recommended knives of all time. So it's the Cold Steel Voyager. This one's in the clip point. This is the Cold Steel Code 4. These are both available under $100, and I think they are excellent buys, even in 2020. So let's go into the next budget brand I have in mind here. And this would be, I don't wonder if you can tell by the sound. Yep, that is Civivi knives. So these are two of the first three releases that Civivi knives did. Civivi is the economical budget brand of Wii knives in China. It's a Chinese brand, and they do all their own advertising, all their own marketing, social media, stuff like that. And for the price point, these guys are putting out some really high quality action show pieces. I mean, this was the first model I got in hand, the Naja, and when I first flipped it, I don't know if that comes through on camera, but it floored me how authoritative and how well done the action and the build quality was. And this sort of format here is what actually sort of launched the newer wave of Chinese budget brands doing D2, 9CR, and G10 in different materials. Fantastic actions. These are both coming in at around $42.50. The Naja is actually the first Civivi knife that they have discontinued, and I think it's one of their better designs. It's polarizing, yes, but the feel in hand is excellent. And I think I do need to get a Praxis to include here as well. But Civivi is a fantastic brand, and I'm proud to have these in my core collection. simply because of the build quality, and it represents what overseas high quality production can do at an aggressive price point. And this is definitely something that's changing the industry. So yeah, so that's that about Saviti. We're going to go next into possibly the most well-known sort of budget brand that we have in the community, and that would be Ontario. Yep, the Ontario Rat 1 and Rat 2. I have a Rat 2 on the way. It's something that as a collector, as a knife enthusiast, hobbyist, whatever, you have to experience, simply because these knives work. They work, and they are highly recommended. This one's an Osate. This was the first Rat Model 1 I got. I actually haven't gotten a Rat Model 2 and D2, or Rat Model 1 and D2, sorry, but I still think I keep this around just for general use, general work, and the smaller version, the Rat 2, is a great secondary carry, just a great EDC in general. So we all know the Rat 1 and 2, so let's not talk about that anymore. So now we're going to get into the over $100 knives, and you'll notice in my collection there's something glaringly missing. Now let's see if you can guess what that would be. So the over $100 knives, let's go one by one. I have another Cold Steel knife here. This is the AD15 by Cold Steel. It's actually the knife I did my first video on this channel of. And if you remember, if you watched it, I was very excited about this knife. So excited, in fact, that I sent it off for months to get custom scales fitted and made, and I was willing to wait. And when I got it back, yeah, I was very happy. And you can see just in my voice, I'm getting super excited talking about this knife. This is, I still think, the best thing Cold Steel currently makes. They released it in 2019. The price was lower than it is now, let's just say that. But I still think I think what they're charging is $200. You're getting one of the best knives available on the market. I will say that I've handed this to a lot of people, and some people don't intuitively get the Scorpion lock, but I think anybody with enough time and use with this knife will actually pick it up. So it's still a very highly recommended knife from me, and it's something that pushed me into the next knife we're going to talk about. So this one is actually the machine ground version of the Demko. This is the Demko full-tie AD15. I did a video on this just a little while ago, and I liked this knife so much I had to get one of these in hand. And when I did, I was absolutely floored yet again. It is a fit and finish masterpiece. It is ground impeccably well. The sound and feel in hand is absolutely amazing. And this probably would be the one knife I would keep if I had to get rid of everything. Yep, one knife I would keep if I had to get rid of everything would be the Demko AD15. So those are those two. This represents sort of my favorite design of knife, just in general. I love Demko's design language, and having these in the collection really sort of make me proud. Demko as Andrew Demko and John Demko, both as knife makers, they represent sort of why I would spend the money for a custom, because I want to support that kind of ingenuity and thinking, and aggressive innovation in locking mechanisms and in materials and all of that. So if you're looking for a grail knife, I would highly consider sort of peeling back the layers and seeing what about the particular maker you're looking at you value, and see if it's something that you could continue to look at, and if it's something that's part of your core value. I think that's a good sign that the maker you're looking at is going to make you happy and bring you a lot of joy. All right, so getting a little winded here. Next knife we're going to talk. I'm just going to leave this on the table because I like the way it looks. The next knife we're going to talk about is, well, let's just finish out the production sort of deal here. Of course, we have the Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I had a Shaman for a while, And I liked it a lot. I got it customized, but I ended up selling it to fund the purchase of this along with 3 other knives. And you know, I don't regret it, but I had to get a paramilitary 2 in hand because it represents so much. The paramilitary 2, if you're a knife collector, knife enthusiast, it's something that's worth having in hand just to, if only to sort of bridge that gap, right? Like, I mean, not bridge the gap, but there's so many people that have had a paramilitary 2 in hand, and you know, having one in your collection will always tie you to that part of the knife hobby. Like, this is a significant knife in and of itself, and what it's done for the community, and what it's done with leveraging, you know, the customization of it, and how many people talk about it and take pride in their paramilitary 2 builds. It really elevated the knife community to a new level, and it spilled out to other brands and stuff like that. So having a paramilitary 2 particularly is probably, it could probably be my only Spyderco. You know, it's not a brand that I would carry every day. I would much prefer this and another knife we're going to talk about in a second. But having one in the collection is it really brings me joy to know that I know what everybody's talking about. So if you haven't had a paramilitary 2, I highly suggest it. It's a great knife in and of itself. And the action's great. Compression lock is great. And this one's in a 20 CV, which is one of my favorite steels as well. This is also in 20 CV. Good stuff. So yeah, so we have the Spyderco, and we're getting really into my actual core collection here. Like, let's also bring in the Code 4. So the knives that you saw earlier on the table, these are the ones that are going to be my core collection. We're just kind of throwing in other stuff in there. Let's also bring this guy back. This is also in my core collection. We have more knives to talk about, though. I know there are 3 others over here that I need to speak about. So let's talk about the knife with arguably the best action in my collection, like bar none. I'm gonna do it off camera, see if that sound, it's just amazing. So this is the ProTech Mastrop Ferrum Forge Mordax, and the thing that really got me about this knife was the design. Elliot Williamson just has a Ferrum Forge has a way with lines. He makes these gorgeous straight but not straight lines, gives these knives an incredible belly, incredible ergonomics. He's one of my favorite designers of all time, and the Mordax to me is one of their best ever products. This one has been modified. We'll talk about that I guess right now. So out of box, these Mordaxes are definitely a little bit thick behind the edge, and that's a manufacturer issue. I think ProTech has had an issue with their grinder, and you know, it wasn't going to be able to grind every knife down to the perfect tolerance, and you ended up having plunge grinds that were off and really thick behind the edge. But BGM Knives on Instagram, he's already done 3 of these Mordaxes with this hollow grind, but I highly recommend him if you buy one brand new, send it to him. I guarantee you, hit him up, he will give you an incredible rate. I'm not going to say the number, but just know that it was really, really good, and I think it's absolutely worth what you're going to pay to actually get a Mordax with the proper sort of geometry. And this is also 20 CV, and the action just cannot be understated. It's flat out the best flipping action I have in my collection. And it's also the only thing that Ferrum Forge has in their line that is not that is a folding knife, that is not a liner lock or frame lock. So I had to include this in my core collection, and it's one of the only things that's 100% USA made. So this is definitely something that I want to keep around, and it represents a lot. Ferrum Forge guys are good friends of mine, and I want to encourage this kind of innovation in the future for them. So there we go. And then another ProTech we got here. This is my token California legal automatic. So Nick Shabazz has his ProTech Sprint. with all those fancy inlays, and I got this awesome little Calmiga with the mother of pearl button. So this knife, like the PM2, this represents sort of the knife community to me, but more on sort of the maker side. So this represents, ProTech is an absolutely amazing company. The people behind it, they're very friendly, they're very transparent on social media, and it's a great experience dealing with them. So yeah, so the button thing, there's a story behind that. They basically just, I expressed so much gratitude for them making this knife that they felt compelled to send me a button. And I just thought that was an incredible surprise. And it was around Valentine's Day, and this was a gift. So I think it was a great sort of gesture by them to sort of make the experience that much more special. That much more special. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Yeah, so I love this thing. I carry it all the time, especially when I'm just sort of, walking around. These two get a lot of pocket time together. A lot. All right, and so those two out of the way, let's get into possibly, this is the newest knife in the collection, but it's very rapidly revealing to be one of the most well thought out EDC knives around. This is the Quiet Carry Waypoint. It's an incredible knife, and I don't think I need a Sabenza anymore. It's just basically what I want to say. So I have a video, you can watch that, about my first impressions of this, and they are very good. So it's using Van Ack super clean steel, titanium, liner lock. The liner lock is actually LC200N, and this is a completely corrosion resistant pocket knife, and that in and of itself is pretty impressive. But to boot, the design is incredible. The gentleman behind Quiet Carry is a very good dude. He's working really hard, especially since everybody is hounding him about where this is made. And to me, I get it. I get why he's not revealing that just yet, because it is all about use, I think, in my opinion. I think he wants the product that he releases to prove itself on its own merits with organic sort of feedback. He doesn't want to push a false rhetoric, especially because the knife community, it can be kind of volatile about OEM stuff, especially in the current climate. But again, Quiet Carry Waypoint, probably the best overall EDC pocket knife you can buy right now. Yep, so that's that. We have my core collection, the Backlash, the ProTech Calmigo, the Waypoint, the Mordax. Let's see if I can fit all these guys on here. Probably not. Let's see, we have the Code 4. This is an excellent, this represents sort of my early days of knife collecting here. The PM2, again, representing the overall sort of knife obsession. And the AD15, sort of representing my just, everything about knives that I like in general. Yeah, basically these two. I did my walkaway 3. Let's just go ahead and put those 3 out. If I had to just get rid of everything, keep 3, it would be for sure 1, 2, 3. There you go. And then let's, for monochromatic sake, there we go. Those are my knives. These 4 are excellent. Anyway, we'll talk later. Thanks for tuning in. I know this was a long one, but leave a comment down below. Let me know what you look for in your core collection, even if you're thinking in those terms at all. Even what your top 5 knives are, top 3, whatever. Just leave a comment, subscribe, hit the bell, whatever. You guys have a great day. Hope to talk to you soon.